It all started at a family dinner. One of those nights where everyone's crammed into the living room, half listening to each other while the TV blares in the background. My older brother, Samir, leaned back in his chair, smirked, and said, "You? Buying a house?" The whole room erupted in laughter. Mom wiped a tear from her eye, trying to hide her smile behind her scarf. Dad didn't even bother sugarcoating it. "Son, there's no harm in dreaming," he said, "but dreams should match your paycheck." That night, I felt like I was floating in limbo, caught somewhere between the sky I couldn't reach and the ground I didn't belong to. My dream had turned into a punchline. "I'm Raj, from a small town where people don't dream of owning a house. They dream of landing a steady job." I was a sales exec at a small marketing firm, pulling in $25,000 a year. Not exactly penthouse money. But there was one thing burning inside me: grit. It was July, pouring rain, and Dad's birthday. We were sipping coffee after dinner when a real estate ad flashed on the TV. "Your dream home awaits. Luxury condos starting at $450,000. Without thinking, I blurted out, "One day, I'm gonna buy a place like that." Big mistake. "Raj, my man," my cousin Nina chimed in, grinning. "How about you start with a new car first, huh?" More laughter. I just sat there, quiet, my chest tight. Something inside me caught fire, but I didn't say a word. That night changed everything. I couldn't sleep. The rain was pounding against my window, and I was scrolling through real estate listings on my phone. $450,000? That wasn't a dream, it was Mount Everest. But I was determined to climb it. The next morning, I walked into the office with a new kind of energy. My boss dropped a new client list on my desk and said, "Raj, sales targets just doubled. You've got 2 months." Everyone else groaned, but I was secretly thrilled. Double targets meant double commissions. Double commissions meant a shot at a new life. When I got home that evening, Dad was glued to the TV. I slipped into my room without a word. Mom called out, "Raj, dinner's ready." I shouted back, "Not hungry, Mom. Gotta work on something." She had no idea I was mapping out my entire future. I grabbed a notebook and wrote, "Save $20,000 in 1 year. Start freelancing on weekends. Save 50% of every commission. Don't tell a soul." I knew if I opened my mouth, they'd laugh again. So I learned to chase my dream in silence. The next few months were a grind. 10-hour days at the office, late nights freelancing, picking up social media marketing gigs. Some clients paid late, some ghosted me, but I didn't stop. I had this one photo saved on my phone, labeled Dream Home JPG, a sleek 2-bedroom condo. Whenever I felt like giving up, I'd look at it. That picture wasn't just motivation, it was my middle finger to everyone who doubted me. One day, Dad said, "Raj, why are you killing yourself like this? Money comes and goes, but you've got to live a little." I just nodded. He didn't know I was fighting for something bigger than a paycheck. Then, a miracle happened. A client I'd been chasing for 6 months finally signed. I got an $8,000 commission check. That night, I treated myself to a strong cup of coffee and some quiet time on my balcony. As I sipped, I thought, this is just the beginning. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Samir. "Hey, don't be late for Dia's engagement tomorrow. And dude, get some new clothes. Your style's stuck in 2010. Followed by a laughing emoji. It stung, but I showed up to the engagement. The usual jabs came my way. "Still in sales, Raj? Got that promotion yet? Or still chasing dreams?" I just smiled and said, "Dreams almost done." They had no clue I was already saving for a down payment. One night, while everyone was asleep, I pulled up a real estate site. There it was, a 1-bedroom condo on the edge of the city, for $10,000. It had a payment plan. My heart raced. This could work. The next day, I went to the bank after work. The loan officer looked at my income and said, "Raj, this might be tough. You'd need a cosigner." I shook my head. "I'm doing this solo." He gave me a pitying smile, like I was some naive kid. I went back to the office and doubled down. For 2 years, I skipped vacations, parties, anything that wasn't essential. Every dollar went into savings. Dad said, "You're throwing your life away, Raj. Money doesn't buy a home. I just replied, "Wait and see, Dad. One day, a realtor's gonna hand me the keys." He thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. Crazy for a dream. When I finally met the realtor, my shirt was wrinkled, but my resolve was ironclad. He gave me a tour of the condo. Polished floors, big windows, sunlight pouring in. Standing on the balcony, I felt the world stop. This was my place, my dream, my comeback. The realtor asked, "Ready to commit?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it." In that moment, I shed my old self like a snake sheds its skin. The day I signed the contract, I came home late. Everyone was eating dinner. Dad asked, "Where you been, Raj?" I shrugged. "Just a quick meeting." Mom said, "Smile a little, honey." I grinned, thinking, "You'll see why I'm smiling soon." The truth was, the realtor had already called me. "Mr. Malhotra, your keys are ready. We'll hand them over Saturday." Saturday morning, my hands were shaking as I read the realtor's text. Documents verified, key handover at 5 p.m. 2 years of grind, sleepless nights, and laughter at my expense flashed before my eyes. I was standing in the elevator, staring at that text, my heart pounding. Tears welled up, but there was this weird calm inside me. All I could think was, I've got to tell them, but not yet. It's got to hit hard. That day at the office, my mind was elsewhere. My boss noticed. "Raj, you okay? You seem intense today." I smiled. "Just a little dream coming true, sir." He laughed. "Well, you owe us a party then," I thought. "Oh, there'll be a party." At my new place. That night, I got home and saw everyone glued to the TV. Dad was ranting about politics. Mom was in the kitchen. Samir was scrolling on his phone. I sat quietly in the corner, planning. I wanted to tell them about the house, but a voice in my head said, "Wait, when you get those keys, make it a moment they'll never forget." The next day, my college buddy Aman called. "Yo, Raj, heard Nina's getting married." I laughed. "Yeah, you think she'll invite me, or just call me that broke cousin again?" He chuckled. "Man, you're killing it now. You bought a freaking house." I hushed him. "Don't spill the beans yet." He laughed. Classic Raj, silent but deadly. Nothing had changed at home. Everyone was in their own world, while I was building my own empire. Every evening I met with the realtor to wrap up paperwork. When I signed the registry, my hands trembled. The paper read, "Owner, Raj Malhotra." That was it, my whole world in black and white. The realtor smiled. "Congrats, Raj. You earned this. Not everyone pulls this off." I said, "It wasn't about money, it was about proving a point." He nodded. "People like you don't just dream, you make it real." Saturday came. The sun was out, a crisp October breeze in the air. I was a nervous wreck all morning. Mom asked, "What's up, Raj? You're pacing like crazy." I brushed it off. "Just some work stuff. I'll be back by evening." Dad chimed in. "Work on a weekend? Live a little, son." I grinned. "Oh, today's gonna be fun, Dad." I took an Uber to the realtor's office. When he handed me the keys, they felt cold in my hand, but my heart was on fire. Every laugh, every jab, every doubt, it was all locked up in that little piece of metal. I went to the condo, opened the door, and let the fresh air hit me. Standing on the balcony, I whispered, "No more jokes. Now it's my story." The place was simple, but perfect. White walls, a small kitchen, a window with a killer sunset view. I sat on the floor and cried. No one clapped, no one said congrats. But I knew. This was my life's biggest, "You did it." Then I had an idea. A quiet kind of revenge. I called the realtor. "Can we set up a family tour next week? I want to surprise them." He said, "You got it. Sunday at 6 p.m. work?" I nodded. Perfect. I went home and told Mom, "Hey, we're going to a friend's place tomorrow. Just a quick visit." Dad raised an eyebrow. "A friend's house?" I said, "Yeah, something like that." Everyone got roped in. Mom, Dad, Samir, even Nina and her fiancé. I could barely hide my grin. They had no idea what was coming. Sunday evening, I piled everyone into the car. They kept asking, "Where are we going?" I just said, "It's a surprise." When we pulled up to the building, Dad read the sign, Sunrise Heights luxury condos. He chuckled. This is that fancy place from the commercials, right? Swanky neighborhood. I nodded. Yup. Nina teased. What, you brought us here for a tour? Do they even let regular people in? I smirked. Oh, I know a guy. The security guard saw me and said, Evening, Mr. Malhotra. Unit 403, right? Dad's jaw dropped. He knows your name? I shrugged. Come on, you'll see. The elevator ride was dead silent. I could feel their confusion, and it was delicious. When we hit the 4th floor, I pulled out the key, that shiny little key, and walked to the door. They were staring at me like I was about to pull a rabbit out of a hat. I turned to them and said, Welcome home. Click. The door swung open. They stepped inside, and there it was, a nameplate on the wall that read, The Malhotra Residence. Dad's glasses literally slipped off his face. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Samir was speechless. Nina whispered, Raj, this is yours? I nodded. Yup. This is the house you all said I could never afford. The room went quiet. All you could hear was the tick of the wall clock. Dad looked at me, and for the first time I saw pride in his eyes. No anger, no shame, just pride. He said softly, Son, we misjudged you. We thought you were chasing a fantasy, but you were living it. I smiled. Sometimes, Dad, you gotta live in a dream to show the world it's real. Mom hugged me, sobbing. We're so sorry, Raj. We didn't understand you. I held her hand. Nothing to be sorry for, Mom. Just remember, dreams aren't a joke. Everyone was quiet, soaking it in. Dad wandered around, checking out the bedroom, the kitchen, the balcony. He said, This is our family's home, Raj. Should we move in? I laughed. Nah, Dad, this is my journey. You're welcome anytime, but this place is where my hustle lives. Mom said, A home's not a home without family. I squeezed her hand. And family's not family without trust. I needed that first. She started crying again. Dad put an arm around her and said, You're right, son. We didn't just doubt you. We doubted our own dreams. The sun was setting, and I stepped onto the balcony. The city lights sparkled, each one reminding me of the nights I stayed up grinding. Nina came over and said, Raj, I thought you were all talk, but you actually did it. I grinned. It wasn't about talk, Nina. It was about belief. You all said I couldn't afford it, so I decided to redefine what afford means. Dad came out with a cup of coffee for me. Remember when you were a kid, saying you'd buy a big shot house one day? I laughed. Yeah, and you said, Big shots dream big, not regular folks like us. He shook his head. Turns out, we were the ones thinking small. Mom said, This isn't just a house, Raj, it's your trophy. I smiled. It's not a trophy, Mom. It's a reminder. Never stop believing in yourself, even when everyone's laughing. I took them back to the balcony. The breeze was cool, the city alive below us. I said, Look out there, Mom. Every building's got a Raj, someone quietly chasing a dream, waiting for the day the world stops laughing. She smiled through her tears. And when that day comes, they become a hero. I shook my head. Not a hero, Mom, just their own hero. The next week, I moved in alone. That first night, I slept on the floor, no bed, no furniture, just a blanket, and the reality of my dream. The city lights glowed outside, but inside, I felt peace. I closed my eyes and said to myself, Dreams come true when the world's against you, and you're still on your own side. That's when I knew. My revenge was complete. The end. Moral. Never mock someone's dream. Because the day it comes true, your laughter becomes the opening line of their story.